All right. We are back in the garage working on a little bit of a side project. This is a car that I worked on, God, it's been probably 12 years ago, something like that. This is a regular old Fox body, but it is still a 302, or I'm sorry, a 302 base motor. I think it's a 331. Turbocharged, stock electronics, you know, that kind of business. And it is stuck in the 90s, maybe even early 2000s at best. And what I mean by that is the fuel system still uses a Vortec T-Rex inline pusher pump and a 255 in-tank pump. As you can imagine, it's had a fair share of head gaskets put on it, and yeah, so we're gonna take care of that. It's actually been sitting for about a year, and we're going to, along with changing the fuel pump, we're going to put on a Holley Terminator X for the Ford setup, and of course fix the head gaskets, because that's kind of a problem right now. The motor sounds a little rattly to me, which hopefully is not bad. I'm hoping that it's thin oil, maybe contaminants in the oil like fuel or something. I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna pull the heads off of it, get a look at it, and see what it's going to take to get it fixed up. And how is this for a blast from the past? Cobra intake, little bitty cute turbo. Still actually has a Ford motor with a distributor in it. I mean, straight out of the 90s. This thing is, I don't know, kind of like a time warp kind of thing. I hadn't seen anything like this in a long time. So we're going to get this thing busted apart and find out exactly what's wrong with it. I'm going to show you something over here that I saw that may be kind of a problem maybe. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but if you look right, let me see here, let me get some extra hands in here. If you look right up there, that is the tab to an MLS gasket sticking out. Normally most people would say, oh look, it's got MLS gaskets on it. Well, the problem is it's got a dead mist to it as well. And it's puffing out the valve covers, and the radiator is pressurizing. So I'm hoping that the heads were just not prepared good for MLS gaskets, and that we're going to be able to put it back together, but time shall tell. Let's get it apart. Well, I tell you, it's always a joy when you get into one of these projects and you've worked on it in the past, but haven't seen it in a while, and you take it apart and you can tell where other people have been, where other people have touched it, and where you haven't. Check this out. So we got this thing skinned down, got the intake off of it, and you know, the hoses and the harness and all that jazz. And there was loose bolts everywhere. The boost pipe that goes in the fender on the passenger side, which if you ever worked on a 90s era turbo Mustang, you'll know what I'm talking about, but I'll show you. That pipe right there, where it comes to the fender, I took the hose clamp loose to pull it off the throttle body and to pull it away from the fender, and the hose clamp that I took off is not the one that came loose, if that makes any sense. So we're going to have to check this thing out real good, see what exactly is wrong with it, because I'm not real optimistic at this point, let me tell you that. So on to the next part. Let's pull some heads off of it. Okay, so we are back for an update. I got the heads off of the car, and really all I can say is wow. There was nothing in this thing that was done correctly. As far as putting heads on the car are concerned, I can only imagine what the rest of it looks like. But let me show you a couple of things that I found. And it sucks for this guy because this work was done over a year ago, and there's no recourse. That, you know, it's a hot rod. There's no warranty, you know, but this is bad. So first thing I'm gonna show you is the passenger side. No, the driver's side cylinder head first. All right, so it might be a little dim. What you see right there is the head gasket leaking. And if you look close, you can see signs of it leaking here and pretty much everything. Every cylinder is leaking. Now, if we look at the gasket, I'm gonna turn the camera around again. I'm gonna show you the gasket. So, I think you can tell, even though it's kind of crappy lighting, any place that you see silver on these gaskets is bad. The Cometic gaskets are all black, and they should stay black. If they are not black, that means the sealer has come off of them and they are in fact leaking. So that head is leaking all over the place. So let's look at the passenger side cylinder head. This is where it gets interesting, okay? All right. Come on. All right, so this one's leaking real bad right here. And this one, you can see it's favoring here, and this one's favoring here, and you know, it's leaking everywhere. Here's problem number 1 or 2 or 17 or whatever. That's the dowel pin pushed into the head. It was not in the block, not even a little bit. And it's so loose that it doesn't engage right, I guess is the word I'm looking for. But that is still not the best of it. So I'm going to show you the head gasket off of that side. Okay, I'm trying to get this thing stood up where you can get a good look at it. Okay, here's the head gasket. Stand back. Do you see any problems with it? Yeah, it's sealed up. I mean, it's got, you know, it's got a leak right there. And it's, you know, it's kind of leaking around here, and you can see that it's pretty black right there. What is this? That is a layer of the head gasket folded back, and you can see the line right above my finger where the head was actually torqued down on it like that. This is what happens when you go to the places with the cheapest prices, and I don't know what kind of employees. I really don't know. It's sad because this particular guy took this car to this shop not once, not twice, but 3 times. They tuned it. As you can see, it's tuned. All right, they tuned it up. Blew head gaskets 3 days after he picked the car up. Took it back, head gaskets again, tuned it again, head gaskets again, 3rd time, head gaskets. So I'm expecting to see this motor tore up at this point. And I don't think I mentioned it in the video, but I did tell the owner of the car, I said, look, man, this thing's got Cometic head gaskets on it, and on a small block Ford, that is the kiss of death, all right? On a stock block, there's no need for that, because I'm sure most of you guys that are watching this know, stock block, they break around, you know, 600 horsepower, so, you know, somewhere around there. My own car made a couple hundred passes on a stock 302, went 6.0 or 6 teens in the 8th mile for a long time and never had any trouble with it, with regular old graphite head gaskets. So that's the fuse, if you will. It keeps the engine from getting split down the middle because the head gaskets are stuck too good. Let me show you what else I found. That is a broken piston right there. And then it's kind of hard to probably hard to see everywhere else, but these ring lands on this side of the motor are all lifted. So I don't think I mentioned this part earlier either, but when I started the motor up, or when I started the car up to pull it in the garage, it still ran, you know. It was rattly, which I did mention that. It was rattly, you know, sounded like low oil pressure, you know, it just didn't sound healthy. The other part was it had a vibration to it, and it was very distinct, and it was more than I would have felt comfortable with letting it run, you know. So now I'm really looking for problems. I checked the balancer, stuff like that. Now that I got it apart and there's pieces of the pistons missing, now it kind of makes a little more sense. So the engine is definitely getting taken out of the car. It's going to get a new set of pistons, balanced, block deck, you know, all that kind of jazz. So on to the next step. All right, guys. Well, unfortunately, that is the end of the video. I was hoping that we would be celebrating the end of the video by starting the car and working on tuning it with the Holley stuff and all that jazz, but such is life. We're not going to get to that part just yet. We will be working on this car again, but we're gonna have to order pistons, and the block's got to go through the machine shop, and it's probably gonna be 4 or 5 weeks before we get it back. So the car is going to go back home for a little while I work on Bob. So yeah, lesson learned, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it's really hard for a guy to take his car somewhere and get worked on and put your hard-earned money into it and trust somebody to do it, only to get very bad results, I guess is what I'm looking for. Anyways, tell me about it. What would you guys do? I mean, how would you handle that? I don't think there's any recourse or anything, you know, because it's been over a year. But I don't know, is it lesson learned or something? Do you just chalk it up to experience and move on or something like that? I don't know. Anyways, that's the end of the video, guys. Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate it. We will see you in the next video.